Welcome back, friends, to the golden glow of 1955 mornings, when every sunrise shimmered with quiet discipline and elegance. In those mid-century homes, housewives began their day with rituals that weren't just routines, they were small ceremonies of self-respect, sparking each morning with a kind of magic we've almost forgotten. Picture a calm suburban neighborhood waking under a soft pastel sky, the faint hum of a radio in the distance, and inside a cozy home, sunlight peeking through lace curtains as the world stirred with promise. These women believed that how you began the day shaped how the rest of it would unfold. And so they treated the first hour not as a rush, but as a foundation for grace and purpose. At exactly 6:15 a.m., her day began, not with a harsh alarm, but with the soft chime of a bedside bell. This was her secret ritual of gentle awakening, borrowed from a 1956 Ladies' Home Journal tip that claimed 75% of housewives used it to avoid morning grogginess. She would stretch slowly, raise her arms above her head, and let the sunlight warm her face. That warmth wasn't just physical, it was her first glow-up of the day, a natural lift that set her mood and energy. Before she even stepped out of bed, she had already begun her day with mindfulness, long before the word ever became fashionable. Once awake, she moved to her vanity for her skincare ritual, a cornerstone of her morning elegance. A porcelain bowl of warm water, a soft towel, and a few trusted essentials: cold cream, rose water, and a tin of oatmeal. Unlike modern products promising instant miracles, she relied on simplicity. Her secret was oatmeal mixed with a bit of milk or honey, used as a gentle exfoliant. In 1957, 60% of women swore by this trick for clear, radiant skin without expensive creams. She cleansed her face slowly, patted it dry with care, and refreshed it with rose water. This was not vanity. It was a quiet act of self-respect, a hidden glow-up that lifted her confidence before anyone else saw her face. As she pinned her curls and applied a touch of lipstick, she did it not for show, but as a way of saying, "I am ready for this day." By 6:45, the rhythm of the kitchen took over. The faint hiss of a coffee percolator, the scent of toast, the sound of eggs gently boiling. This was her stage, and every move was practiced with precision. Her secret weapon was the timer egg cup, a clever gadget that made sure every breakfast was perfect. By 1958, 70% of American housewives used similar tools, saving precious minutes without sacrificing care. She arranged the plates neatly, folded napkins with pride, and made sure each breakfast tray looked inviting. It wasn't just food, it was a morning message of love served with grace. Her efficiency turned what could be chaos into calm. Even the simplest breakfast felt special because it was made with thought, not haste. After breakfast came something most people overlooked: the mental reset. With her cup of coffee in hand, she'd stand by the window for a few quiet moments before the day's noise began. She would look out at the street, the soft glow of morning reflecting off the neighbor's car, the children heading to school, and in that stillness, she planned her day. There was no planner or smartphone, just a clear mind. She'd think through her to-do list: school lunches, market runs, perhaps a church meeting or a call to her sister. In 1959, research showed that 65% of housewives practiced some form of this reflection, using quiet thinking as a way to set the emotional tone for the day. Some whispered small affirmations, others simply breathed deeply, but all shared the same purpose: to stay centered and calm before the world demanded their attention. These morning rituals, gentle waking, mindful skincare, efficient breakfast prep, and quiet reflection were not random acts. Together, they formed a rhythm that brought order and meaning to her life. The bell eased her awake, the oatmeal brightened her skin, the timer kept her cooking flawless, and the mental mapping kept her focused. Each small act carried weight, transforming ordinary mornings into moments of intention and pride. Picture her standing by that window again, sunlight streaming across her apron, coffee steaming gently as she looks out into the day ahead. These weren't just habits, they were the framework of her confidence and calm. Every graceful gesture built momentum for the tasks that followed. Her mornings were proof that beauty isn't in perfection, but in presence. She found peace not because her life was easy, but because her rituals gave her control over the first hour of her day. Today, her secrets whisper to us through time. They remind us to slow down, to begin our mornings with care and gratitude, and to create small moments that set the tone for the day ahead. Her world may have been simpler, but her wisdom endures. Start gently, move with intention, and find beauty in preparation. So as you think about your own mornings, ask yourself, what small ritual could bring a touch of that 1950s magic into your life? Maybe it's taking a breath before you rise. Maybe it's preparing your breakfast with care. Or maybe it's pausing with coffee to plan your day. Whatever it is, let it ground you as it did her. Because even after 70 years, one truth remains the same. Great days are built on graceful beginnings. Step into the heart of a 1955 kitchen where every morning began with the soft clatter of dishes, the hiss of the percolator, and the comforting hum of a family routine. Here, the housewife's breakfast rituals were more than chores. They were the gentle pulse of mid-century life. These forgotten hacks weren't just about feeding hungry mouths. They were acts of quiet artistry, blending thrift, speed, and affection to craft mornings that radiated warmth. Picture it now. A cozy kitchen lined with floral curtains, sunlight streaming through the window, and the smell of freshly brewed coffee mingling with the sweetness of molasses oats. Her formica counter gleamed, pastel bowls stood ready, and every action carried a purpose. These small gestures turned what could have been chaos into connection, an everyday performance of love and precision that modern mornings rarely see. The coffee ritual came first, always the heartbeat of her day. Long before the electric coffee maker became a staple, she relied on her faithful stovetop percolator, a silver companion that gurgled to life each morning. Her secret was simple but clever, adding a pinch of salt to smooth the bitterness of the brew. According to a 1956 Good Housekeeping feature, nearly 70% of American housewives swore by this trick. It saved money, improved flavor, and filled the kitchen with that signature, comforting aroma. The sound of the bubbling percolator was her soundtrack, steady and soothing. Before the children stirred, she poured 2 steaming cups, one for herself, one for her husband, and shared a quiet moment of calm. This wasn't just coffee, it was a ritual of connection, a prelude to the day's rhythm, a reminder that love could be found in the smallest of acts. Next came the oatmeal fix, a breakfast cornerstone that combined thrift and nourishment. She moved gracefully, measuring oats by instinct rather than spoon, adding water and a dash of molasses for a touch of sweetness. Her time-saving trick was brilliant, soaking the grains overnight to half the cooking time. By 1957, 65% of housewives had adopted this clever method, ensuring a hot breakfast was ready within minutes of dawn. The rich scent of oats simmering on the stove blended with cinnamon and milk, creating a warmth that filled the entire room. Served in melamine bowls, the creamy oatmeal was more than food. It was comfort in a dish, hearty enough to keep children full until lunchtime. In an era without fast food or microwaves, this simple bowl represented care, consistency, and a mother's quiet devotion. Then came the bread prep, an art form of its own. She would take yesterday's loaf, slice it evenly, and butter each piece before toasting. The result? Perfectly golden, crisp edges that melted on the tongue. A secret revealed in the 1958 Betty Crocker household guides. 60% of American homes followed this tip, stretching budgets while elevating flavor. The toast would pop, the butter would glisten, and she'd lay it beside boiled eggs perfectly timed by her small egg cooker. No detail was overlooked. Every plate was assembled with thought, turning the most ordinary breakfast into something that felt cared for. For her, this wasn't routine, it was rhythm, a small victory of control and creativity in a world where every minute counted. Her final ritual was the table setup, the finishing touch that transformed breakfast from a necessity into a gathering. She'd unfold the checked tablecloth, place napkins neatly, and set out utensils from a tray she kept ready every night before bed. A jar of homemade jam, strawberry in spring, apricot in fall, always stood at the center, a splash of color against the white plates. This small act, practiced by 75% of housewives according to a 1959 survey, wasn't just about order, it was about atmosphere. A well-set table reminded everyone that the morning meal mattered. It gave children a sense of rhythm, and it gave her a few quiet seconds to breathe before the day unfolded into errands, chores, and endless motion. Each of these rituals, brewing coffee with salt, pre-soaking oats, buttering toasts before toasting, and pre-setting the table, formed the heartbeat of her kitchen. Together, they told a story of balance between thrift and generosity, speed and tenderness, duty and love. In the 1950s, the average housewife spent nearly an hour each morning on breakfast alone, yet she approached it with joy, not drudgery. Every action was deliberate, each sound, the clink of a spoon, the crack of an eggshell, part of a domestic symphony that set the tone for the household. The salt in the coffee softened the start of the day, the soaked oats saved precious minutes, the buttered toast brought warmth, and the table setup created space for family connection. Imagine her now moving briskly yet gracefully between stove and table. The radio hums softly in the background, perhaps playing Elvis or Patti Page. Steam rises from the coffee pot, sunlight glows on chrome appliances, and the children's sleepy footsteps echo down the hallway. There's laughter, a few yawns, the rustle of the morning paper. These were the moments that defined her world, fleeting, simple, but full of heart. They were not about perfection, they were about presence. Her kitchen, modest but alive, was the center of her universe, where thrift met tenderness and where each breakfast became a memory in the making. These vintage breakfast rituals remind us that even the smallest tasks can hold beauty. Her clever hacks balanced speed with sincerity, proving that efficiency and affection can live side by side. In today's rush of instant meals and takeout cups, her methods feel like gentle reminders from another time, lessons in patience, care, and gratitude. They teach us that love doesn't need luxury, it thrives in preparation. So as you picture that 1955 kitchen, ask yourself which of her timeless tricks could bring a spark of warmth to your own mornings. Maybe it's the pinch of salt in your coffee, the overnight oats simmering quietly, or the simple act of setting your table before bed. However small, these rituals carry echoes of a golden era, a time when mornings weren't just about getting ready, but about getting connected. Because in her world, every breakfast was more than a meal. It was the start of something beautiful. Step into the bustling morning of a 1955 home, where every sound told a story. The soft hum of the radio, the creak of polished floorboards, the rhythmic sweep of a broom. Here the housewife ruled her domain with grace and ingenuity, turning everyday chores into time-saving tricks that sparkled with mid-century magic. These forgotten morning rituals weren't just tasks to check off. They were her secret system, a balance of resourcefulness and rhythm that kept her home gleaming by noon. Picture the scene. sunlight spilling through lace curtains, the smell of coffee drifting through tidy rooms, and a woman in a floral apron moving with calm purpose. Her home was her canvas, and each motion painted it with care and pride. Her first shortcut of the morning was bed making, a simple act elevated to an art form. With a swift tug and a practiced fold, she could turn a tangled mess of sheets into a picture of precision. Her secret lay in the hospital corner technique, tucking each corner tightly in under 2 minutes flat. A 1956 Better Homes and Gardens article praised this trick, noting that 80% of American housewives had mastered it for its crisp, polished finish. The bedspread, often chenille or quilted cotton, gleamed under the morning light, the pillows fluffed to perfection. To her, it wasn't just about neatness, it was about setting the tone for the day. A tidy bed meant a tidy mind. It was her morning glow-up of order, transforming the bedroom into a peaceful haven long before the children's footsteps scuffed the floors again. Next came porch sweeping, a ritual that doubled as both exercise and welcome. Every morning she stepped out into the fresh air, straw broom in hand, and cleared away the remnants of yesterday. Her clever trick was to lightly dampen the broom before sweeping, trapping dust instead of chasing it into the air. By 1957, Good Housekeeping reported that 65% of housewives swore by this method to keep their porches spotless. It was a small detail that made a big impression. As she swept, the radio played softly from the kitchen, maybe an upbeat jingle or a Doris Day tune, and she moved in rhythm with the melody. Her porch wasn't just an entryway, it was an invitation, a cheerful first impression that reflected her pride. The neighbors might wave as they passed, and she'd return the gesture with a smile, her morning already glowing with purpose. After the porch gleamed, she turned her focus to laundry prep, one of the most time-consuming tasks of the week. Without the luxury of modern washers, she relied on smart shortcuts to make wash day manageable. Early in the morning, before breakfast, she'd sort linens by color and fabric, then soak stained pieces in a metal tub filled with warm water and a scoop of baking soda. This simple mixture worked wonders, loosening dirt and brightening fabric. According to 1958 homemaking guides, 70% of housewives used this hack to cut scrubbing time nearly in half. The pre-soak wasn't just about saving effort, it was about planning ahead, a quiet act of foresight that made the rest of the day smoother. Later, when the sun was high, she'd hang those crisp linens on the clothesline, each one fluttering proudly in the breeze, a living symbol of thrift and care. Her final shortcut was what she called the quick tidy, a whirlwind ritual of restoring order before the day truly began. With practiced efficiency, she'd move from room to room, gathering toys, newspapers, and stray clothes into a single wicker basket. This one-pass pickup method was a favorite among 1959 homemakers, with 60% adopting it to save time and maintain an inviting home. She'd straighten cushions, fold blankets, and wipe tabletops as she went, leaving every room refreshed in minutes. It wasn't perfection she sought, it was peace. Each tidy corner, each cleared surface felt like a breath of calm before the rush of school drop-offs and errands. Her home wasn't grand, but it radiated warmth, always ready for an unexpected visitor or a neighbor dropping by for coffee. These morning shortcuts, bed making, porch sweeping, laundry prep, and quick tidying, formed the backbone of her daily rhythm. They weren't random acts of busyness. They were part of a system that wove love into labor. In the 1950s, the average housewife spent nearly 2 hours each morning on household tasks, yet she approached them with an optimism we rarely see today. Each trick had a purpose. Hospital corners brought crisp order, damp brooms caught every speck of dust, baking soda lightened her laundry load, and wicker baskets turned clutter into calm. Together they saved her precious time, allowing her a few quiet moments by mid-morning to enjoy her coffee, read a magazine, or listen to her favorite radio show. Imagine her now, standing on the porch, apron swaying as the sun climbs higher in the sky. The children's laughter echoes from the yard. The kitchen smells faintly of soap and toast, and the floorboards gleam beneath her careful polish. These weren't just chores, they were rituals of love and pride, moments of stillness disguised as movement. Her home reflected her heart, and every task was a note in a symphony of care. Today, her vintage hustle reminds us that efficiency and beauty can go hand in hand. Her shortcuts weren't just about saving time, they were about creating space for peace, connection, and pride in one's surroundings. In our world of robot vacuums and endless to-do lists, her methods offer a nostalgic kind of wisdom, that the smallest acts, done with care, can make the biggest difference. So as you think about your own morning routine, ask yourself which 1950s hack would make your day smoother. As the morning sun climbed higher in 1955, the housewife wrapped her dawn with rituals that glowed with mid-century serenity. These forgotten closing routines weren't just chores, they were vintage secrets that sealed her morning with calm and quiet pride before the day's bustle took over. Picture a suburban home bathed in golden light, curtains swaying softly with the breeze, and the faint hum of the radio whispering a tune from Doris Day. She moved with grace, not rush, her steps steady and sure, crafting a rhythm of peace that modern life rarely allows. These hidden glow-ups brought her mornings to a gentle close, a retro art we've lost to time. Her first ritual was a final prayer, a moment to anchor her soul before the noise of the day began. Sitting at a small kitchen table, hands folded gently, she'd whisper thanks for what she had and hopes for what was yet to come. Her secret? Keeping a pocket-sized prayer card tucked inside her apron, slightly faded, edges soft from daily touch. A Gallup poll from 1956 showed that 70% of housewives carried one, using it for a moment of focus before the morning rush. This wasn't just faith. It was her quiet reset, a glow-up of calm that steadied her heart before the children's laughter and the clatter of dishes filled the air. It was her way of saying, "I'm ready," not to the world, but to herself. Next came the outfit check, a small but powerful act of grace. Standing in front of a modest mirror framed in oak, she'd smooth the wrinkles of her floral cotton dress and straighten her scarf, making sure not a hair was out of place. Her trick was simple, yet clever. A handheld lint brush, always nearby, giving her outfit that crisp, cared-for finish in just seconds. By 1957, 65% of housewives swore by this hack, saving precious minutes while ensuring they could greet the milkman or neighbor with confidence. This wasn't vanity, it was pride, a reminder that self-care wasn't selfish. It was her vintage glow-up, preparing her to step outside, even if only to hang laundry or pick up milk. Her reflection wasn't about beauty, it was dignity. A quiet nod to herself that she still mattered amid the chores. Then came journaling, a sacred pause that few people ever saw. In a floral notebook with frayed corners, she'd jot a few lines before the day swept her away. Maybe a recipe she wanted to perfect, a funny thing her child said, or a dream about a weekend picnic by the lake. Her secret hack? Tying a pencil to the notebook with a string, so she never had to search for one in a busy kitchen. According to a 1958 Homemaker's Digest article, 60% of women did this, turning fleeting thoughts into written memories. To her, this wasn't just writing, it was reflection. Each word on that page carried emotion, gratitude, and the kind of mindfulness we now try to rediscover. It was her morning meditation before the word self-care even existed. Her next act was the home scan, a quick but meaningful walk through her living room before stepping into the day. She'd adjust a cushion, straighten a magazine, or realign a picture frame that hung just slightly off. Her trick was carrying a small cloth in her apron pocket, ready for a quick dust swipe wherever her eyes landed. Good Housekeeping noted in 1959 that 75% of homemakers use this habit to keep their homes company-ready at any hour. This wasn't perfection, it was pride in her space. Every polished surface and fluffed pillow was a love letter to her family, written not in ink, but in action. It was her way of saying, this home is cared for, because the people inside it matter. Sometimes, when the chores were done and the house felt still, she'd take one last look out the window. Maybe she'd see the neighbor watering her roses, or hear a radio ad drifting through the open air. She'd sip the last of her coffee, take a deep breath, and smile. For a few minutes, time slowed. The morning felt complete. It was more than routine. It was rhythm, the heartbeat of her day, set by patience, intention, and quiet love. These closing rituals, her prayer, outfit check, journaling, and home scan, were the final notes of her morning symphony, each one playing its part in creating harmony. In the 1950s, housewives spent their mornings not just maintaining homes, but nurturing peace, finding joy in structure and meaning in small acts. The prayer card steadied her spirit, the lint brush polished her confidence, the journal preserved her thoughts, and the quick scan perfected her haven. Each step was deliberate, transforming dawn into a foundation of grace. Imagine her by the mirror, scarf perfectly tied, as sunlight warmed her face. The house smells faintly of soap and coffee, the radio hums in the background, and for a brief, golden moment, everything feels right. Those weren't just routines, they were reflections of care, of purpose, of love woven into ordinary moments. These sunrise rituals remind us that peace doesn't come from having more, it comes from doing small things with intention. Her vintage hacks balanced heart and hustle, proving that calm can shape an entire day. In our rushed digital world, her serenity still speaks softly, offering a nostalgic glow-up we could all use. They weren't flawless, but they were full of heart, showing that love often lives in the quietest corners of our day. So what 1950s ritual would bring serenity to your morning? Would it be the prayer card, the tidy scan, or maybe that peaceful pause with coffee in hand? Let me know in the comments below. Hit that like button if you felt the nostalgia, and subscribe for more vintage secrets to spark warmth, wisdom, and a touch of mid-century magic in your modern world.